Coming up on show 433, Tesla's Q1 numbers, Ford's big electric plan, and Volvo's new Polestar branded plugins. Well, those stories and many more on today's programme. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily, Wednesday, 3rd of April edition today. My name is Martyn Lee. I've been through every EV story I can find to bring you the ones you really need to know about. And some big news today, a big electrification plan from Ford, big numbers from Tesla in Q1. Significant, I should say, not big, because some of those numbers are down and people are jumping to conclusions. We'll help try and find our way through all of that muddle. Firstly, an apology. The schedule for publication's been a little bit off, which I hate doing. You know I hate doing it, and I even missed Tuesday. So, it's because I've been travelling. I'll give you all the details at the end of the show, because you don't tune into this for me, you listen to all the news. So let's crack on with that, and at the end I'll tell you all about what I've been doing over the last couple of days in Miami, where it's raining. They said, come to Miami. It's like summer all year round. It's tipping down with rain today. I've got drenched, but it's all right because the car that I have to drive is all-wheel drive. I will tell you more at the end of the podcast today. Let's crack on with the news then. Oh, hey, thank you as always to the team at myev.com. And I should actually get them to come through the door that I'm the other side of and thank you themselves, because that's where I am. I've come to meet the team from myev and see what they're up to with the website and drive a couple of cars that's in the myev parking lot outside in the rain. Did I mention it's raining in Miami at the moment? I've flown 9 hours from the rain in the UK to get to the... Anyway, let's move on to the news. This is a Q1 number to forget for some people at Tesla, and for others, it's really significant because it's about them expanding all around the world and the impacts on that. Q1 numbers, January, February, March. Quarter one numbers. We talk production, we talk deliveries. Tesla reported a total of 63,000 vehicles delivered globally. 63,000 global deliveries in the first 3 months of the year. Now, that is a fall on the end of last year. We're going to dig into why that happened and what it could mean. Tesla says they actually rose 110% year on year. It's a standard thing in the auto industry, by the way, to always compare year on year because of seasonal differences. So year on year, they're up. Quarter on quarter, they're down. InsideEVs.com today says the automaker breaks it down as follows. Model 3, just under 51,000. Model S and X combined, 12,000. And I think that's where we will dig into some of the problems. Model S and X, 12,000. The automaker also blamed its expansion into Europe and China for slowdowns in getting the car from its Fremont, California factory to customers for its lower delivery figures. Well, that may inflate the Q2 numbers. Well, they're due in July. So Tesla attributed the push to get its cars to customers by the end of last year, 2018, to take advantage of the full $7,500 federal tax credit. That partially deflated the Q1 numbers because they worked so hard to get as many cars into people's hands as possible at the end of last year. Tesla expects its financial picture for the quarter to worsen over the last earnings period. Tesla says it still has sufficient cash in hand. Right, that's the official statement, if you like. What else did Q1 hold? When you look back at the first 3 months of the year, well, they began construction of the Chinese Gigafactory, and if you haven't seen the YouTube videos, the rate of progress is almost ridiculous. You can watch these videos of the building going up in China, and you know, I saw a YouTube video once. I think there was either an earthquake or a problem or something, and it caused a bridge to collapse or something like that in China, and they rebuilt it over the weekend. And, in the UK, signs go up in January to say, roadworks for the next 12 months. In China, they do it over a weekend. And the way they're building the Gigafactory in China is deeply impressive. I mean, there is a building going up on what a few short weeks ago was just wasteland. They also revealed the Model Y and put the Model Y on sale in the first quarter. They paid off $1 billion of debt, which came due. They paid it off in cash, by the way. They don't need to raise any capital, and the car market is pretty much imploding at the moment, in some parts of the world at least. Diesel sales through the floor. Either way, people are becoming much more aware of their environmental impact with car driving, and so automakers are having a real problem selling the last few petrol and diesels before they all pivot to EV. And so not only are they suffering, but Tesla's in huge growth, and they're dragging an entire industry along with them. So, bear that in mind when you read some of the headlines today from either the mainstream media, who don't get it, who are just looking for clicks. And by the way, most websites are looking for clicks because they sell you. When you go to their website and they display adverts, they're selling you. So just bear that in mind. When you read a headline, they want you to go to that website because they're selling your attention. And that's just the way of the world, right? With any kind of advertising. But always bear that in mind when you see a headline and you wonder why someone's written those words to get you to click on it. Inside EV's forum user Nix says this. I thought it was an interesting comment, so I'm going to bring you this user comment. 77,000 production versus 63,000 deliveries shows the one-time cost of priming the pump, if you like, in the EU and China. So yeah, the production was 77,000, the deliveries were 63,000. Why such a big number? Because there's 2 to 3 weeks worth of sales in the pipeline. The key word there is delayed. The fact that this has been predicted for over a year has kind of been ignored, actually. It's a very normal and natural part of opening up a new pipeline to overseas markets. Every manufacturing company has ever opened up an overseas pipeline where their goods are then in transit for a long period of time, has this one-time cost that primes the pump. So it's the breaking of the eggs moment when you're making an omelette. You have to do it at some point. And then one quarter, the quarter you do it, is going to show that you've made a bunch of cars, you've made 77,000 cars, but only delivered 63,000 because there's so many in transit. The result is this primed delivery pipeline to new markets that are now open. Anyone confused into believing that it's anything other would be a good thing in the long term is badly mistaken, says this user Nix. Well, Teslarati, the always brilliant Teslarati, reports that by the end of the quarter, Tesla had over 10,000 vehicles in transit to customers. They are going to be delivered, if they haven't already, in the first few days of this quarter 2, then they will over the next few days. Tesla stated that the company had delivered roughly half of the quarter's deliveries in the last 10 days alone, largely due to the time it takes to ship Model 3s to Europe, to China, and despite the quarter falling below expectations, the company is targeting to deliver what they always promised, between 360 and 400,000 vehicles for the full year this year. Jalopnik adds that on an earnings call in January, to provide some historical perspective on this, Elon Musk warned that by the end of the quarter, 10,000 cars would be stuck in transit at the end of the quarter, and since then, things have gone further awry, says Jalopnik. Ships have been delayed. There was a workers' strike in Belgium, out of Tesla's control. China halted deliveries because of an incorrect labelling issue in China on some cars, quickly resolved, but all of these things caused delays. So you'll see those headlines today, tomorrow, as people predict doom and gloom. Just do your own research, do your own independent thinking. Always ask why those headlines are being written. I'll throw links to Inside EVs and Teslarati in the show notes. That's a big bit of news. Like I said, lots of people will be kind of interested in why it's happened. Some celebrating as well. They want people that want to see electric cars fail. I know it's been like the first 8 minutes of the podcast today, so that's been a big bit of news. We'll follow that up over the next couple of days with more reaction. On to the next big story today, and on any other day this would have been the lead item. Ford have made a big electric plan announcement for Europe via an advanced lineup of electrified vehicles. Marks a new milestone for Ford and its customers. The company today announced at a special Go Electric experience. It was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And if you're going to do a nice jolly for journalists away, it's always nice to do it in Amsterdam, isn't it? Lovely. If you can expense a trip to Amsterdam, you know you've got a good job. A new range of models under the Ford hybrid banner. So that's what they're going to call them, Ford hybrids. They're going to have mild hybrids, full plug-ins, full hybrids and plug-ins as well to enhance fuel efficiency and the driving experiences for customers in Europe. I was going to say here in Europe, but I'm not over there in Europe. Well, I'll be over the weekend. Ford today announced 16 electrified models that will deliver the company's brand values of trust, affordability and fun to drive cars and commercial vehicles, they say. Well, Ford outlines their strategy for Europe with Ford Hybrid, the banner, and they particularly, let me give you some highlights on this, the all-new Ford Kuga. It's an SUV, and it's the first Ford which will feature all options. The mild hybrid the full hybrid and the plug-in hybrid powertrains. Hey, by the way, what do I mean with mild hybrid? Like a 48-volt system, not enough for those orange cables that you see under the bonnet or in your EV. So 48 volts, it really sort of turns pumps and pulleys in the engine. It kind of helps out the engine. Even at motorway speeds, sometimes the engine can power down, and that's good for fuel economy. It's not really an electric car, it's just a small 48 volt battery helping an engine. Full hybrid is slightly more interesting, but not really. It's sort of outdated tech. It's like 10 years ago with a Prius technology. I mean, it's nice, but it's like watching black and white TV. And then there are full plug-in hybrids, which are kind of more interesting because then you can put electricity into them. Note here, by the way, no full electric cars mentioned yet. Let's see what they say. The Cougar plug-in hybrid will do 50 kilometres or 31 miles of electric. There's going to be an all-new Ford Explorer. That is a plug-in 7-seat SUV. There's going to be a new Tornio, which is like an 8-seater people mover, like a van. And that's going to be a plug-in hybrid. Again, 31 miles of clean, pure electric range on that. There's a new Fiesta, the little city car, the Fiesta EcoBoost. That's going to be a hybrid, and that's going to use mild hybrid technology. There's going to be a new Mustang-inspired all-electric SUV in 2020. Here we go. We got to the meat of it now. A Mustang-inspired all-electric performance SUV in 2020. They say, real world, 370 miles of range, that's 600 Ks. They can pull it off. And Ford have got the people and the talent and the brains to do it, and the money and the resources. If they can pull it off, and it's going to be tough, that's going to be a great car. I can't wait to see that. There's an all-new Transit. The Transit is the van, by the way, or what you might call a panel van. That's going to launch in 2021, and it's going to have innovative transit smart energy concepts to help Ford find new ways to extend the battery range. Nice press release speak there. The hybrid vehicles already offered or confirmed in Europe include the Mondeo, like the family sedan saloon car, and the like what we'd call the estate, you might call it the wagon. It features a hybrid, what they call self-charging. There's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid. There must be a typo. Also a Transit hybrid and Transit's Eco Blue hybrid, they call it, using mild hybrid technology for van owners. And this little Transit plug-in hybrid. So again, it's a van, but it's got a very small 1-litre engine, and it uses a small 1-litre engine, using it as a range extender to charge the battery. That's being trialled. I think it's super cool. So 2 big announcements. On any other day, Ford would have led with this because they've, it's clear they are behind with EVs. I'm not being unfair when I say that. Ford are massively behind, and they're catching up, and probably, some people say doing a good job, some say not doing enough. Everyone's got an opinion. Let me know yours. Right, last few stories I want to get through today before we get to our time today. Audi has a slew of plug-in hybrid vehicles coming later this year. We learned at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show the A6, nice car, A8, very nice car, as well as the A7 Sportback and the Q5 SUV are going to get electrified. But now spy photographers in the snow of the Northern Hemisphere has caught a new vehicle that hasn't previously been mentioned. We're talking a really big Audi Q8. And if you like your big Audi SUVs, the Q8 is going to be on your shopping list. According to InsideEVs.com, the term spy photos is misleading since the Q8 featured in the spy photos isn't wearing camouflage. For that matter, none of its badging is obscured either, so we can clearly see it. It says Q8. On the badge says TFSI engine. We can see yellow stickers, though, in the window. Now, that means it's an electric test vehicle. So Audi already makes this mild hybrid Q8. It could be a run-of-the-mill model from Audi's test fleet, maybe. Maybe it's just a hybrid car with a yellow sticker in. The fuel door on the left rear fender is a dead giveaway. So on a left-hand drive car, this is the driver's side car. The Q8 has its fuel door on the other side. So for the spy photographers and the team at InsideEVs.com have been studying it. They're like, hang on a minute, we know our Audis, and that filler flap is on the wrong side, so it must be a plug socket. Nice work, guys, nice work. Good sleuthing. I'm looking forward to a plug-in Audi, like a big one like that, Q8, lovely. Out of my price range, but lovely. Okay, let's talk Volvo. Volvo Car USA is adding a 415 horsepower plug-in hybrid electric car to its award-winning range already, like the XC60, the V60, that's the mid-size wagon. They're adding another one to their lineup next year with what they call Polestar engineering. So this isn't a Polestar car, but it's Polestar engineering. Well, that makes sense. The Polestar brand is pretty sexy right now, pretty hot. So they can use that Polestar engineering as a kind of signifier that, hey, the team that work over here have also done some work over here on Volvo. The car is going to be the S60, the 2019 S60. It's going to be what they call Polestar engineered, and it's going to have a plug socket, and it's going to team up with a normal combustion engine to deliver that 415 horsepower. Fantastic for those that want a plug-in car from Volvo, who I keep saying they are, at the moment, the best styling inside and outside for me, bar none. I just think they've got it going on at the moment. I love that style they've developed both in and out, and I think a lot of car manufacturers probably learning a lot from that at the moment. And finally, very quickly, Chris Bruce at InsideEVs.com has the lowdown on spy shots of a new Mercedes. After lots of chances to see the development of the next-gen Mercedes-Benz C-Class, a new batch of spy shots offers an early look at the German brand testing the upcoming sedan. It's a plug-in hybrid. It's going to have 20 plug-in cars available by the end of next year. Electrified versions of the C-Class, the E-Class, the S-Class. They've all got 13.5 kilowatt-hour batteries. Again, that pretty standard 31 miles of range or 50 Ks, zero emission motoring. I'll put links to those stories in the show notes as always. Right, very quickly then at the end of the show, where have I been? What have I been doing? Sorry, I've missed my usual schedule on the podcast. Flew from the UK to Miami to come and see my friends at myev.com. They are, of course, busy building the US's very first dedicated marketplace for buying and selling and learning about EVs along the way. So, in the MyEV parking lot, or car park as we would call it in England, some of the cars that are on sale on the website at the moment, not that it's myev.com selling you the car, but some of the cars that you can see on there, from the very largest Model X's to the small little kind of compliance cars, the Fiat 500e, that would be so much fun to have as like a second or third car and just bomb about the city or the town in a Fiat 500e, if you can get hold of one where you are listening around the world, because only sold in places like California. When I say at the top of the tree on myev.com, when you sort it by what's the car where money's no object, that would be the Tesla Model X P100DL with ludicrous mode. All-wheel drive, absolutely gorgeous. Wouldn't it be nice to have one in the rain of Miami so that you're not slip sliding around? Well, they have been letting me drive it. I mean, it's all insured up and it's on dealer plates, and so I've had a lot of fun. I've been very sensible. I don't really fancy getting pulled over by Miami police. Have my passport and driving license with me, of course, at all times, but still, I don't fancy a conversation with the cops. And so I've been super sensible and, maybe where appropriate, have explored some of the more interesting parts of the car, like that ludicrous button, which is a nice button to push. It's the first time I've driven the Model X P100D with ludicrous mode, and after obviously raving about EVs forever, it's kind of weird that I'd never been in one and experienced one. So that was super, super cool. One of the guys here at myev.com has literally just taken, like 100 miles ago, taken delivery of a beautiful black Model S P100D, but with the white interior. And because I hadn't said the white interior, but with the black dash, which was new to me. But you got to have the white interior. That's the look, right? And you can keep it clean, even if you've got a family in that car. It does stay clean. That's the spec. That I would go white on the outside, white on the inside. I just think that is so unique. It's gorgeous. So had a little play in that. Had a play in the Model X. I've still got that, by the way. That's still sat outside. I've been driving up and down the beach road. Not that I can go to the beach. It's tipping down with rain here. But I've been exploring Miami in that Model X. And you know what? It kind of makes sense on big American roads, because even though it feels to me like a massive car, in reality, it's dwarfed by so many of the cars that are driving. Well, the trucks, right? But everyone drives a truck here. So these Escalades and stuff, like these massive cars that go past, you're like, actually, the X feels like normal, whereas on UK roads, the X looks ridiculously large. So I had to play in that. And yes, for the very first time, I have driven a Model 3. again, which sounds funny, right? They've been on sale for almost 2 years now. Maybe it has ticked over. No, it's not quite 2 years, right? Since the very first delivery. So it seems weird that a guy that does this daily podcast about EVs has never actually driven a Model 3. But you have to bear in mind, I'm in the UK. It's right-hand drive. We don't have them there. So I guess I could have jumped on a plane and come to the US to play with one, or I could have gone to Europe at the beginning of the year, but it never worked out, so I'd only ever sat in one and not moved. Very kindly invited by Tesla PR in the UK last year to come and see one when they brought one into the country, but I couldn't drive it. So finally got in one, and now that's a car that makes perfect sense for UK roads. I spent a bunch of time today in what I was really excited to get hold of actually was the Standard Range Plus, which is going to be the car that everybody buys who thought they were going to buy the $35,000 Model 3. They're going to get the Standard Range Plus, aren't they? No one's going to buy the $35,000 Model 3. I don't know if any have been delivered yet. No one's going to buy one because for $2,000 more, you get so much more: partial premium interior, longer range. And so I spent some time in one of those today. That was brilliant, by the way, to get a sense of where autopilot is now. And the technology has definitely come on even further since the last time I tried it. So this is what was really good about it was the subtlety of the system. Like sometimes what I'm used to with AP2 on the Model S is sometimes it can be a little bit forceful in its movements. The movement can be, and that puts people off. So sometimes if you engage autopilot when you're on the motorway and you're doing 60 or 70 miles an hour, it can hunt for the line quite quickly and it will sort of jerk you across the road, which when you know it's going to happen is fine, but when people don't know, they feel a bit uneasy trusting the system for the first couple of times. And also following cars and slowing down, sometimes that isn't quite as finessed as I thought it could have been. Honestly, in the car I drove yesterday with the very latest software update, and if you drive a Model 3, I'm preaching to the converted here, I was really surprised how much the software has improved in terms of just being a more nuanced drive and following cars in traffic, that stop-start traffic. Very, very smooth. Very, very impressive. The best experience I've ever had in any car, in any make, of an autopilot system at any speed. So that was the main thing. Obviously, the car is fantastic, but I kind of knew... And it's left-hand drive, which means I've got to flip my brain around to what I'm used to. But it's fine, because you drive on the other side of the road to what I'm used to. So your brain does flip around quite easily. So it just seemed very normal, that screen in the middle for me, which... Again, never having driven a Model 3, it just made perfect sense. So thank you very much to everyone that made that experience happen today. A little play in the Standard Range Plus car, which is a very, very, very nice car for $37,000. Not that we'll be getting that in the UK anytime soon. What's the latest with right-hand drive? Not that this is a direct quote, but speaking to people over here over the last couple of days, it does seem that the consensus is pretty on target for the last thing Elon tweeted, which is what they call summer this year. So that could be June, July, right-hand drive, and of course, for the UK market, starting at the top of the market as well. So long-range all-wheel drive and the performance models, because that's what they do. So thank you for bearing with me on my story about what I've been up to today. Hopefully that explains where I've been for the last couple of days, missing yesterday's podcast, traveling and all those kind of things. And I want to tell you some more stories about my trip on tomorrow's podcast. Right, on to our question of the week. Keep your comments coming in on this. It's an interesting one this week. EVs are connected cars by their very nature. They have SIM cards inside. They know where you are. They know what you're doing. They know how fast you drive. Often in Tesla cases now with Sentry mode and the cameras, they're even recording visuals. There's cameras inside the car. Are you bothered about that? How much do you think we should value convenience versus privacy? Because it's a trade-off. And where do you stand on that? And I'd love to know. EVs are connected cars, but how much do you think we should trade off convenience for privacy? You can email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com, and you can use the YouTube and Facebook comments to let me know your thoughts. Right, time for the endy bit. Thank you very much to 214 patrons of the podcast who keep me going. You can check out what it's all about, patreon.com, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. 432 previous episodes online for free. If you hit subscribe, you get new shows first and free and automatically. If you can leave a little review anytime, that would be amazing. And I've fixed the Alexa skill. Sorry, it's been a bit broken lately. But that has been fixed now as well. So I finally got that working. So you can go onto your Alexa app and search EV News Daily, download it for free, enable it as a skill, and then you say to Alexa, what's in the news or play my flash briefing or whatever your phrase that you like to use is, and Alexa will play you 120 seconds, 2 minutes of the latest EV news. Clever, eh? Bad for free. Come and say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.